They're gonna get everything I got. Talk a little bit about myself. I mean, I was back-to-back hardest worker at Buffalo Bills. That's what I got voted on. I was the team captain by 24. That's what I plan to be here, and that's what I plan to bring is leadership. And talent is talent, but that ain't gonna get you where you want to go. So just bring that intensity and bring that intent.
Get extended or not before this season. My job is to go win games and to be the best I can be for this team so we can have a chance to win a Super Bowl.
The Jacksonville Jaguars, your Jacksonville Jaguars, they've had a very, very interesting offseason. Not in the fashion of them, really making any splash, big-time acquisitions through free agency. They have had a couple of players that I really, really like, that I really think are going to be important pillars for the 2024 season. But it's a simple fact that do you have to ask yourself, have the Jacksonville Jaguars done enough? Are you, as a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, are you happy? Are you excited? Are you content? Are you proud of your front office for everything that they have done? And of course, this is all before we have had our draft for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We are briefly going to talk about the acquisitions that we have made during free agency, and then we're going to talk about the draft a little bit, and then we're going to have to bring up what are our expectations for the 2024 season, and what does it mean for star quarterback Trevor Lawrence and for head coach Doug Peterson. But first things first, I really want to get into a few of the acquisitions that the Jacksonville Jaguars made defensively. Bringing in Arik Armstead, defensive tackle from the 49ers, on a 3-year, $51 million deal is absolutely huge. It's big and it's important. Why is it big and important? Pause on that one. I also think it's going to be big and important because it's going to give the overall defense a lot more confidence, a lot more poise, a lot more leadership. But even more so, it's going to give much more mentorship for Josh Allen and Travon Walker, who both combined for 27.5 sacks last season. And it's going to be a 21 years old in November. It's going to be an exciting player to really keep our eyes on for that defense. And then wide receiver Gabe Davis, the Jacksonville Jaguars are signing him to a 3-year, $39 million contract. And we've seen this guy really pan out. And I like what he's going to be bringing to the Jacksonville Jaguars. You see him at times when he was in Buffalo, he would just have these crazy, 4 reception, 170-yard, 2-3 touchdown game. And then next week, it'll be 1 reception for 14 yards, and that's it. And then it'll probably be another game where it'll be three receptions, 57 yards. Maybe he gets in the end zone, and then 3 consecutive games of nothing really happening. This is a very big boomer bust player. This is a 50-50 ball, contested catch kind of guy as well. I think he's going to beautifully mold himself into the Christian Kirk identity. And what I mean by that is just going to be able to really just beautifully align himself with Christian Kirk. And he'd start on the opposite side of Zay Jones, who was coming off a season in which he was limited by injury. So we also expect Zay Jones to come back and be healthier and be more involved as much as possible into the offense as well. And then, of course, we still have Evan Ingram and Marvin Jones Jr. I do not see a lack of speed once Gabe Davis gets introduced. Without Gabe Davis, I see a very high potential of how are we going to get open? Where's the speed at? Where's the threat at? What's going to pressure the safeties? And then, boom, Gabe Davis. And so I also think this is going to be a great thing for Trevor Lawrence's arm to really rip and go crazy and go heavy. So I think Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence, even though Josh Allen has a little bit more of a whipper of an arm, Trevor Lawrence can definitely put the ball and definitely be able to lead on Gabe Davis to make big plays. And then Ezra Cleveland, the Jaguars have agreed to a 3-year contract with the left guard. It's going to be important this upcoming season. I guess we'll quickly go into the draft here. It's going to be just really interesting to see how these pieces are really going to mold together, because we believe, or we all know, whether you want to admit it or not, the end-all be-all is, can Trevor Lawrence stay up? Can Trevor Lawrence stay healthy? Can Trevor Lawrence have enough time in the pocket to get the ball to Gabe Davis, get the ball to Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram and the weapons that they have? And I remember against the Cincinnati Bengals, this past season when Trey Hendrickson, you know, tackles or sacks Trevor Lawrence, and it was just a weird tackles. Like, I think it was ended up being a high ankle sprain or something with the ankle. You know, I think at first look, we thought he was pretty much done for the season. That can't happen in 2024. This is the make it or break it year. I don't think necessarily for the city of Jacksonville or for Trevor Lawrence's career, but it's going to be an important year for his confidence. It just has to be with the #1 overall pick, with the pressures that he has had his entire life to be successful, with Doug Peterson, a former head coach that has won a Super Bowl. The pressure's on him, and then you got to see what the Texans are doing. You know, where are your emotions with that? The Houston Texans are all in. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They just picked up Stephon Diggs. They've had a crazy offseason with acquiring a lot of weapons. They have had injuries in this last year that are going to be back and healthy. They brought in Joe Mixon. They're going to be having Tank Dell back. There's just so many weapons offensively that the Houston Texans are taking care of business with. Danielle Hunter, a former Vikings pass rusher that had a great season last year. The Jacksonville Jaguars have got to be on their A game, and it has to be whether it be a scheme fit or a deal with this draft pick that's going to be coming up. I've been seeing a lot of you guys giving us mentions of who y'all think y'all should be drafting, and I'll give y'all. I'll say them real quick. I've been seeing, you know, this was before the Gabe Davis acquisition had occurred, but there was a lot of Brian Thomas Jr., the LSU receiver who led the country in touchdowns, I believe, with 17. Speedster, I think he had the second fastest 40 at the combine. Absolute burner down the field, would have been a great weapon for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I do genuinely believe Gabe Davis is going to be able to withhold a lot of that. And then now I see a lot of consistency with the cornerback position, getting a corner to absolutely do its best to withhold, you know, the Tank Dells, the Michael Pittmans, and the now Calvin Ridleys that you're going to have to be dealing with in Tennessee. And so I've been seeing a lot of Kenyon Mitchell, the quarterback that was at the Senior Bowl. And of course, we were at the Senior Bowl as well, Real Friends of Football. He was amazing. He stood out. He was by far the best defensive player at the Senior Bowl, in my personal opinion, at least in the secondary. There's a lot of guys within the trenches that I like just a little bit more. There's Terrion Arnold, cornerback out of Alabama. I think he's a lot more technical with his preparation. The way he processes things is really elite. He's less of an athletic freak and just more of a technician. And I really like that with Terrion Arnold. And then there's the Nate Wiggins, who's another athletic freak, who is very technically sound, who has a, you know, bend but not break mentality. He has this a beautiful thing about him to where the play is not over until he ends the play. And so there's a lot of things with that. So I've been seeing a lot of cornerback position, but you guys let me know what you are wanting to happen in this upcoming draft. You guys hold the 17th overall pick. But then let's get into 2024, guys, real quick. The Houston Texans, it's going to be no joke. And in this upcoming season, what we're going to be doing after the draft, the summer talks, the training camp talks, all of it, you guys cannot undervalue what the Houston Texans are doing. And it has to, if it's not going to piss you off, it has to motivate you as a Jacksonville Jaguars fan of being able to understand what your organization is doing to combat this. Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud, you're going to have a lot of people already saying that CJ Stroud is the clear-cut 100% better quarterback, but I believe that Trevor Lawrence has 100% has the capabilities to reclaim his hype, reclaim that prince that was promised great things in the National Football League as a starting quarterback, and get this monkey off his back, a disgusting phrase to really use for a player of his caliber, a player with everything that he has. But listen to the media. It's weirdly just disrespectful of what Trevor Lawrence is getting. They're just using these stats and putting them right next to other quarterbacks that we know is not in the same tax bracket as a Trevor Lawrence, but they're using it to make a certain argument. And guys, what do we have? What did we have from Trevor Lawrence to really say, you know what, maybe he is what he is? But I believe this upcoming season, 2024, I'm riding with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I was hesitant this past season, but I think I'm going to be a little bit more on board with the Jaguars and what they do, just because no one's talking about you guys. No one's talking about you guys. No one's talking about the Arik Armstead addition. Once again, I think is huge. The Gabe Davis, you know, him as a receiver is one thing, but the fit, like I said, the fit with him and Christian Kirk, I think it's going to be something to be beholden of. And so I'm ready. I'm excited for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I need to know what you guys are ready and excited about. But let me know in the comments. Like, comment, and subscribe.